Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger. Today I'll be chatting about the one word that describes and sums up all of my success in life. And I'm excited to get into that. But first, I want to say that this is Thanksgiving week. And let's be thankful. I know that 2020 has been rough, to say the least. There's a lot of things going wrong, and a lot of things have went wrong this year. But look around you. What is it that you can be thankful for? If you choose to focus on those things, man, it just totally turns your emotions around. Your emotions follow your thoughts. And if you can be thankful, look for things to be thankful for. I know some of you have gone through some rough times financially this year. Well, be thankful that you're still doing okay health-wise. Be thankful if you're struggling with health. Be thankful for maybe you're married, you got an awesome spouse. Be thankful for that. Maybe you have awesome kids. Be thankful for that. Look for things to be happy about, to be thankful about. I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful that every week I have people that listen to this podcast. I'm thankful for the opportunity to share every week things that have blessed my life, things in business that have been people in my business, people that I have in our communities that have awesome success stories. I love sharing those stories with you, and I'm thankful that there are people like you that listen every single week. I'm thankful for people that read my email. I'm thankful for my family. Yesterday, Callan he's 3 years old, 3.5 now, and in the middle of the day, we went to the park. We walked down to the park here in our neighborhood. He played on the slides. I got up there with him, and we just enjoyed being together. That is fun. I cannot imagine having to go to a job that I hate every single day and living for the weekend. And if that's you, don't beat yourself up. Just have a mental image of what you want your life to look like. Have a mental image of being able to go to the park with your kids or the zoo or whatever it is that you want to do. Make sure you keep that in the forefront. Have a vision board. Write those things down so that you can look forward to it. And if you're listening to my podcast, I imagine you're doing some type of online business. Keep those images in front of you as you're going through that business. There are going to be times in your business, as you know, when it's like, man, this is a struggle. Doesn't seem like it's working. Stay in these communities. Stay learning. Stay listening to this podcast. Read good books. Feast your eyes and mind and heart on good, positive things, people who are going to lift you up, cheer you on, because you can do this. You can have the life that you want. You can live your dreams. Your dreams are important. We need your gift. So don't shrink back. Expand your dreams, expand your vision, write them down and go for them. You can have them. So I am thankful. My life is blessed. Yeah, not everything is going right, but I live a blessed life, and I am excited about life, and I want you to be excited about life. What are you thankful for this week? First off, I want to give you opportunity in the last couple of weeks on my newsletter, which you can get on if you just go to streamsofincomeradio.com. There's a link there to be notified of episodes. All of my episodes are in my newsletter every week. So if you just go to streamsofincomeradio.com and sign up to be notified when new episodes come out. They come out every single Friday. You'll get on my newsletter list. I'm giving away my book, Finding Your Grace Place. Discover God's purpose for your life and flourish. Honestly, this is probably my most important book because it just gets to the heart of the matter. And I wrote this back in 2016. I have no idea why I just felt led to write it. And I've gotten so many testimonials of people that have really enjoyed this book. And so I hope it blesses you. If you go to streamsofincomeradio.com and click on the latest episode at the very top, there'll be a link in there to grab this book for free, the ebook version of it. You can if you want the actual hardback, or not hardback, want the paperback version of this, just go to Amazon.com. Finding Your Grace Place is the title. So I hope this blesses you. But this gets in to my topic today. A couple of weeks ago, I wrote an email, and it was titled, My Secret Sauce for Business Success. And I said on here, it's not, well, I get asked a lot how I juggle everything that I have going on. I have a couple of membership sites that I'm a part of, that I run. I just got a lot going on in my business, and people see that and they wonder how in the world I do it all. And I wrote in here that it's not hustle. And that's the term that gets thrown out a lot by people online who are very, very successful. And guys, there's absolutely nothing wrong with hustle, with working hard. But in my mind, when I hear that word hustle, I think, and this may not be how they are portraying it or what they mean by it. But when I hear hustle, I hear, you're going to be working 80 hours a week. You're not going to get to see your family much, but you're doing it. You're sacrificing time for them. You're working hard right now so that you can enjoy, your time with them later. Well, my son is 3.5 years old. If I was constantly burying my head in work, I would be missing all the important things in his life. That to me is not true success. Now, I understand if I was single and I didn't have a wife, I didn't have a family, and I just really wanted to work, and I love my work, which I do love my work. But if I wanted to totally focus on that part of my life, that's cool. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. At this point in my life, though, I want time freedom. Money buys freedom, and that is what I long for. I want that time with my family, and that, thankfully, is what I have. The ability to not have to get up every single day, go fight traffic, to go to a job that I hate, or even if I do love it, the fact that I'd have to be out of the house and be gone for 8 to 10 hours a day and then come home. Now, I know that works for some of you, and that if you're doing what you're called to do, man, that is awesome. Nothing wrong with that. That just would not work for me. And I am thankful for the opportunity to be able to be home with my family. Yes, it makes work challenging sometimes. It can be hard to get into that deep work mode and actually get very important things done that I need to get done. I can be on a webinar or even a podcast live as I'm recording this. There's no guarantee that my son won't come running in here. But guys, I would not give that up for anything, because I am here. I'm able to be here with him. So that's what works for me. And I love it. And I understand if some of you are like, no, I couldn't do that. I have to go to a coffee shop or an office. That's totally fine. But back to the point of this episode today, it's not hustle. And there's nothing wrong with working hard and hustling. I do work hard, but I work smart. It's for sure not luck. The one word that describes all of my success in all of my life, business too, but all of my life, it's grace. And it comes to the title of this book, Finding Your Grace Place. And grace is, in the Webster's dictionary, 1828 dictionary, describes grace as favor, goodwill, favorable influence of God, free, unmerited love, and favor of God. Guys, that's it. And I'll go more into that. Also share a few stories here, but it's the grace of God. I know that I would not have any of this except for the grace of God. And that is the secret to my success in all of my life. It's His grace. It's His favor. And I'll go into more of that here in just a second. But there are so many stories in my life that just come back to that it's not luck. There's no way this stuff has been coincidence. I know some people would just chalk it up to coincidence or you're just lucky, Ryan. Absolutely not. I know that it was the grace of God in my life. So I know some of you, I don't think I've ever shared the story of how I met my wife. So I was living up in Indiana. This was 2003. And I was working for a congressman in his Indiana office. And one day, I follow Christian ministers, and there's some on TV that I followed at the time and still follow. And I just felt a prompting to reach out to some of these ministers around the country, famous and not famous, and tell them that they had. So the guy I was working for in Congress, actually was Mike Pence. He's our vice president. I was working for him in his office in Indiana, and I felt led to let them know that there was a guy in Congress that cared about what they care about. And if they ever had any questions, because I don't want to get into politics at all, and we don't talk about politics on this podcast at all, but politics plays a very important role in our lives. What happens in DC, what happens at the state level and the local level affects my business, affects my family, affects ministers, it affects ministry, even like, the fact that they are tax exempt and all of that. So what happens in DC matters. What happens at the state level matters. What happens at the local level matters. So I would just wanted to reach out to them and let them know, hey, you have an advocate. There's somebody in Congress that cares about what you care about. And if there's anything that we can ever do for you, you ever have questions about legislation, you want to talk to somebody, we're here to help. And so I went to my chief of staff and I told him I felt led to reach out to some of these pastors and ministries across the country and let them know that we are here to serve. He said, go for it. So I reached out to a couple ministries. First off, built a great relationship with one of the guys that worked there, a guy that was also very politically minded, and was thought it was cool that I reached out to him, and we built a friendship. The second ministry I reached out to was a ministry here in Fort Worth, Texas. And so I called them up, told them what I was doing, and they sent me to a gentleman who was kind of they didn't have a government affairs department, but just the guy they thought of when I said I was from a congressional office. And so I talked to him, and he knew a lot about what was going on in Congress, thanked me for the call. Nothing to it there. A couple weeks later, I got a call from another guy, because this guy I had talked to this guy who's a pastor here locally, who's also very involved politically, told him that he got a call from our office. And this guy was going to DC for a meeting that this whole ministry put on a meeting in DC that year. And they do it every year in 2003. So this was November 2003. They wanted to have, since I made that call, they wanted to have my boss on their broadcast. They wanted to come to the DC office and interview him. So I thought, that's awesome. I want to help. So I drove from Indiana to DC and met their TV staff and kind of helped with getting them permission to shoot B-roll on the Capitol steps, because you can't just walk up with a TV camera near the Capitol and just start shooting B-roll. So they needed a permit essentially. So I helped get them acquire all of that. I helped them get an interview with my boss in his office for their broadcast. And I just felt a strong connection to one of the TV staff. His name's Tim Fox, good friend of mine. He actually, he ministered at our wedding. So he became that good a friend to us, and he still is one of my best friends. But I felt a connection with Tim, and that connection has lasted through all these years. But that same year, I had some time off. So this was November 2003. At our office, if we didn't use our time off through the year, it didn't build up, we would lose it. So I didn't want to lose I had 2 weeks off that I had built up and not used. So I asked him if I could come down here to Fort Worth, Texas, and just hang out at the ministry, help him out, do whatever, shadow him. I felt that strong of a connection with him and the TV staff, but especially with Tim. Fast forward real quick, my wife actually, she is from here. So she and Tim knew each other very well. They had worked together, been friends for a long time, family friends for a long time. So because of coming down here to Texas to work at this ministry, just help out for a couple of weeks, I ended up meeting Melaine. We had a few years of a long distance relationship, and then and that wasn't fun at all. Whole other episode there. But in 2009, we got married. I moved down here to Texas. And been here since November. I've actually moved down here in November 2008 and got married in April 2009. And I've lived here ever since. So there is no way that I should have ever met Melaine. There's no, I lived in Indiana, born and raised in Indiana. She was born in Alabama, moved here to Texas when she was a baby. Just no possible way that I could have ever met her, come across her path, had it not been for a prompting in my spirit to reach out to these ministries and just and let them know that there was somebody that they could confide in. They had questions. That was just something that I know was a God thing, and it was the favor of God that allowed me to meet her. No other explanation for that in my mind. You've all heard my story of meeting Jim Cockrum, and I'll make this one much shorter, but in 2012, I believe, he was hosting an auction on eBay for his book, 101 Free Marketing. And the proceeds of that auction were going to go to Hope Village in Detroit, a nonprofit organization that he really cares about. And so I woke up the morning of that auction ending. He sent out an email. I saw his email. I went into my wife and I said, I really feel like we're supposed to win this auction, that we need to bid on this auction. And she asked me how much. And I said, I think we need to bid $1,500. And guys, I'm telling you, that was an incredible amount of money to me at the time. That's still a lot of money. You don't spend $1,500 without thinking about it. But at that time in 2012, that was a lot of money for us. And she says, if you think that's what you need to do or what we need to do, let's do it. So I did, and I won. And instead of a part of the package was a 30-minute phone call with Jim. And instead of that, I said, hey, my parents live in Indiana, not too far from you. Can Melaine and I fly up and take you to lunch? Well, he was gracious, spent 2 hours with us. He paid for lunch, and that started a relationship, a friendship that has again lasted to this day. And that relationship has been responsible for exploding my business. I don't think that's coincidence. Our house that we live in now, we were living in Northwest Richland Hills. Our house here is in Southlake. One day, Melaine was going on her way to Bible study at a church called Gateway. It's a very big church here in this area. And she was going to a Bible study that she was having. And she was on the phone, I think, and just took a wrong turn. Happened to take a wrong turn and ended up right here in this neighborhood, right when they were building the first couple of houses. And she thought, wow, this is cool. At the time, we were looking for a house. We're looking to build or buy a house. And so she got to this neighborhood and thought, hey, maybe this is a God thing that that I took this wrong turn. Well, she looked at the sign on there as far as it would always say from the price range. And she's like, oh, no, that's not in our range at all. And it wasn't. But then she said, hey, you know what? So after she went to Bible study, came back home and told me, eventually we came and looked at the model home just for fun. And we talked to one of the salespeople there, and, of course, they're doing their job trying to get you to move forward. And they're like, yeah, this is just not even close, not even in our price range at all. So we started looking at other places, and we were actually about to put a deposit. We did put a deposit on a piece of land in a neighborhood that was more in our budget. And it wasn't it was just to hold it. It wasn't like, in stone. It was just like we kind of put our name on this, and they didn't even cash a check. It was just kind of just to hold it there for us. And as we were doing that, we get a call from the sales lady, the boss, in the model home. It was 2 doors next to us, saying, hey, I heard that you came and stopped by, talked to my assistant. Elaine told her, yeah, it was awesome. We love the neighborhood. There's just no way we can afford it. Well, she said, well, we're at the very beginning of our neighborhood and we're looking to fill slots. And in fact, we have a house, it's 2 doors down from the model that has already been planned. So it's all it's essentially was what they call a spec house that they had already had it all planned. Wasn't even built yet, but they said, because it's already been planned, nobody's bought it. We could really do a super good deal on that for you. And the Lord blessed us with an opportunity to buy a house at the beginning of a neighborhood. And in our price range, right at the top of our budget. But man, guys, God is so good. He had it all planned for us, because right at that time, it was a stretch for us. I'll tell you, but we prayed about it and knew that was the right plan for us to move forward. We felt peace in our heart. Always follow peace. If you don't have peace about something, stop. Don't push past that peace. Don't push past that check. Because there's times when you may be going forward with something and you just don't feel right about it. It feels like a red light. Don't move forward. Stop. Well, we felt peace about this, even though in my mind was saying, it's a little scary. That feels scary. That's a little bit more than I want to spend. But right at that time when we were closing on the house, that was right at the time when we launched our private label brand of a product. We're not selling it anymore, but that private label brand started right when we closed on this house back in 2013, and it paid our mortgage for a very long time, that one product. And so the Lord knew in advance that he had all that planned. I didn't know. I just had to trust that, okay, this is a little bit scary, but I feel peace about it. It was definitely a stretch. But we felt peace and moved forward. But the Lord got the price down for us at a point where we could handle it. And he had that private label product all prepared for us in advance. And we moved in, and we've been here 7 years and love it. And now, if we were going to build a house here, in fact, there's no more lots available. I don't think there's a few, but they're way, way more now than they were back then. And so we got in a super good deal, guys. I know that was the favor of God. We were at the right place at the right time. And that's what the favor of God does for us. And in business, there was one time, it was Black Friday. Black Friday's coming up this Friday. And when we were doing a whole lot of retail arbitrage, we'd get up early and go shopping. And went to a world market, the stores we have down here. And, if you sell online or you do any retail arbitrage, it can be overwhelming. You walk into a store and like, oh my gosh, where do I even start? Well, I prayed this prayer under my breath. Lord, show me the good stuff. Meaning, Lord, show me where these items are that we can sell for a profit. And it wasn't like a magical path lit up or anything like that. Or I heard an audible voice, nothing like that. I just felt led to go to the back of the store. And so I did. I went to the back of the store, and at that back was a whole bunch of tea, brew tea that you like, iced tea and all that, and hot tea. And they were canned in these little cans, and they were 50% off. And so I looked them up on Amazon, and my goodness, they were all profitable. I think we spent about $3,000 on tea, and we continued to do that every year for a few years when they had that sale. Guys, I'm telling you, God cares about every little part of your life. You might think, a marriage, that's a big deal. And of course he cares about that. The house, yeah, he might care about where you live. My business, like making a few bucks, yeah, he doesn't care about that. That is so not true. He loves you. He cares about you. He cares about every little thing in your life. He wants to bless you. He wants you blessed so that you can be a blessing. And so he cares about your business. If it matters to you, it matters to him. I think about my son, he's 3.5, and little things will get him upset. And I want to help him. I want to help him alleviate that pain, alleviate that frustration, God is the same way with us. And if it matters to us, if it's a deal to us, if it's a big deal, a little deal, he cares about it. He knows the numbers of the hairs on your head. And if he knows he has that detail, I mean, I look at my wife. I love my wife. I have no idea how much hair she has. I'm not going to bother to count it, but yet God is he intimately cares about us, intimately loves us so much that he knows the hairs on our head. And so, guys, it's favor. It's the favor of God that I can say all of this has happened to me. And you might look and think, oh, but you're Ryan. I am not special at all. I'm a kid from Indiana, and I'm not born in a wealthy family. My dad worked at General Motors. We were very middle class. All of our needs were met, but we were not rich at all. But God blessed us, but we weren't rich. I don't come from a wealthy family, but God has blessed my wife and I. And it's not about money. It's so many other things. It's just little things he blessed us with. I've told you about our struggle with having kids. We've had 3 miscarriages. And in 2017, Callan came along, and he's such a blessing. God will restore as well. But how to see favor in your life? If you're asking, how do I see the favor that you see? Guys, I'm not special. God is no respecter of persons. It's not that I'm his favorite person. I go through life thinking and acting like I'm his favorite, but I know he loves you just as much as he loves me. He loves the worst person in the world just as much as he loves me, even though that's hard to believe, but it's true. I believe it comes down to how you view God. And I talk about that in this book, Finding Your Grace Place. I'd love you to get a copy, but just go to streamsofincomeradio.com. You can get your free copy of the ebook version. But I believe it comes down to how you view God. And Jeremiah 29:11 says that I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Something else I really love is the story of the prodigal son. So you know the story probably where in the parable where the prodigal son, he asks for his inheritance early. He leaves. He spends it all, ends up being in a pig pen thinking, man, these pigs are eating better than me. I just need to go back home to my father. I'll suck it up, humble myself. I'll be a servant. I'll just be a servant and work in his fields. At least I'll be better cared for there back with my father. Well, it says, so he got up and came to his father, but while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was moved with pity and tenderness for him, and he ran and embraced him and kissed him fervently. Now, guys, his father wouldn't have seen him if he wasn't waiting for him. His father was waiting for him to come home. And if you feel like you're far away from God, he's waiting for you to come back to him. Let me tell you a little secret here. One of the devil's main attacks is to keep people from coming to God. And the way he does that is by feeding the lie to us that God is mad at you, that God is some angry, judgmental God with a hammer or a lightning bolt in his hand, ready to whack us over the head every time we make a mistake. Are you that way with your children? I'm not with Callan. I'm not waiting for him to make a mistake so I can spank him or put him in timeout or scold him or yell at him. You're not that way with your kids. Well, why would you think God's that way with us? He loves you. He cares for you. He is longing to be gracious to you. There's a verse in the Bible says he's longing to be gracious to you. He's looking for you in the distance, ready to run to you. The rest of the story, the prodigal son, the father puts a ring on his finger, sandals on his feet. He gets restored. He was never not a son. So he just gets, the son came there to be a servant, but essentially the father was like, no way, you're my son. It doesn't matter what you did. And so you need to see God as your daddy God. And he deeply loves you. He wants to pour out his blessings and favor on you. And you will see, if you view God that way, you will see his favor and everything you do will prosper. I love the scripture in 1 Corinthians 15:10. Paul is saying, but by the grace, the unmerited favor and blessing of God, I am what I am, and his grace toward me was not found to be for nothing, fruitless and without effect. In fact, I worked harder than all of them, though it was really not I, but the grace, the unmerited favor and blessing of God, which was with me. And I wrote in my book that if anybody was able to boast, it was Paul. And there's a scripture that talks about, his pedigree, where he came from. It was essentially at the top of his class, super smart guy, had everything going for him. And so, you look at somebody like that, well, of course, he can boast because he's Paul and he did this and he did that. And you might look at people who are doing better than you in life and business and think, well, of course, it's work for them because that's who they are. But the grace of God doesn't work like that. The grace of God works for anybody who will accept it, who will receive it, who believes that it's there for him. In fact, I would submit to you that if it works better, in a way, it works better for people who don't feel like they are special. Because it's when you know that you're reliant on God, that he can come along. You give him, if you have the attitude of, God, I need you, I cannot do this without you, then that's when you open the door for him to work in your life and for that favor to come in your life. If you have the attitude of, I don't need it, I don't need your help, God, I got this, I know how to do this. Even if you know how to do this, act like, have the attitude like you don't have a clue. And that's when you open the door for God's favor and his grace to flow through you and to reach the world. When you are in your grace place, you're trusting in him to lead you, to guide you. He will perform in and through you. Your life is one of resting in him and allowing him to work through you to produce the fruit. I go on to say in the book here, now this doesn't mean that you don't have to work. It means your work is spirit-led and you're trusting in him to produce the results you never could have done by relying on your own self-effort. So really, it's just a contrast between, I got this, I can do this, God, I don't need your help. And it may not even be, a defiant, I don't need your help. It may just be like you feel like it's all up to you. You may not have the attitude of, God, I don't need you. You may just be thinking, you know what, it's really all up to me. I got to do this. I got to perform. I got to make this happen. I have to make my business successful. And yes, you have to work. It's not like you just sit back and like, God, it's all yours. You do it. I'm just going to sit here on the couch, watching The Bachelor and eat potato chips. It doesn't work that way. There is work to be done. There's hard work to be done. Being in business is not easy. Some of the stuff we teach is simple, but it's not easy. It takes work, but I believe that when you have the attitude of, God, I need you, I can't do this without you, that he will open the door, put you in the right place at the right time, cause you to take the right course, listen to the right podcast episode, put you across the path of the right people who will come alongside you and help you, cheer you on, maybe help you with get in a mastermind group or whatever. But there are things, if you recognize them as his favor on your life, and his grace on your life, which essentially mean the same thing, that you'll see more of it. You'll see more of those things in your life when you are quick to give him the credit for it. His favor on you will put you at the right place at the right time. As I said before in my book, and as I just mentioned, there's just so many things over my life that I just cannot believe is coincidence or luck. Job openings. Before I had a business, I worked a regular job, and job openings that happened as a result of the favor of God. Business partnerships. I mentioned the beginning of my relationship with Melaine. There's no way I should have met her other than the grace of God. I could have never done that on my own. When I was a kid, I had the scripture Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 printed out. You remember those old dot matrix printers where you'd hit print and it'd go, and then go over. If you had a real fast one to go like that. I had one of those printers, and I had Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 written or printed out, and I had it around my room when I was a teenager. And here's what it says: lean on, trust in, and be confident in the Lord with all your heart and mind, and do not rely on your own insight or understanding. In all your ways, know, recognize, and acknowledge him, and he will direct and make straight and plain your paths. So he is your good shepherd. He loves you very much. He's leading you and guiding you. Allow him to lead you and guide you. Allow him to have that place in your life, and you will see the favor flow. Another thing I think that, so other than believing that the Lord is a good God, that he loves you and cares for you, I feel like that's probably the most important thing, to see his favor, to believe that it's there for you, that he actually has it there for you and wants to bestow that on you. The other way, or the other reason I think is the secret, is why I see so much favor in my life, is because I expect to see it. And that's not a boastful thing like, oh, I expected it because I'm so awesome. Absolutely not. It's because I know his heart. I know he loves me. I know that he's promised that to me. And I believe that I receive it. I take it by faith. So I expect to see it. It's like a hopeful expectation of like, God, what's going to be the favor today? What's going to be the favor this week? I'm looking for opportunities. And sometimes you just stumble across stuff. My first book, Real Wholesale Sources, I stumbled across a method for finding wholesale sources. And I don't believe I stumbled upon anything. I believe that the Lord led me to that. And that kicked off my career of serving people with information, which I love to do. And I love seeing success stories. And I really feel like I'm, doing exactly what I'm called to do. And it started with that book. But I believe it. I believe that it's there for me. I believe he's promised it to me. In Psalms 5:12, it says, "For you, Lord, will bless the righteous, him who is upright and in right standing with you, as with a shield. You will surround him with goodwill, pleasure, and favor." So it says right there, he will surround you with favor. So many times I'll say, your favor surrounds me as a shield. It goes all the way around me, protects me, puts me in the right place at the right time. And I believe it does. And I believe I have seen his favor in my life because I know it's there and available for me. And I expect to see it, not in a haughty way. It's more like, it's just like, Callan knows I love him. And if I acted in any other way other than that way, he'd wonder what's going on. He knows that we love him. My wife knows I love her, and I act most of the time, act that way towards her. Always room for improvement in our relationships, but I know God loves me. He favors me. And I believe I receive that. And so I speak those things out. And I know another thing a lot of people do is they disqualify themselves. And I'm about to wrap this up here. This verse says, "For you, Lord, will bless the righteous." Now, I know some people read this verse and automatically disqualify themselves because they think, you know what? I'm not righteous. I'm just, I made a mistake yesterday. I did this, or I did that, or I did this in my past. Well, you know what? I believe that God has made you righteous. You accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. You are made righteous. It's not because of what you have done. It's because of what he has done. And so you are made righteous. He has qualified you, made you fit, is what the scriptures say. So believe that you are qualified to receive his favor. And again, it's not because of what you have done. It's not because you're good. You can't be good enough to deserve it or earn it. And so he loves you, cares for you, has made you righteous, made you qualified to receive that favor. And when you step into what God has called you to do and you're relying on his grace, you can't help but to experience that and change the world around you by his grace, which is flowing through you. And it's for reaching others. It's for blessing others. He graces us, gives us certain abilities, talents, skills to be able to use those and bless other people. And so that's, you need to flow in that. You need to receive that so that you can bless other people. And so I hope this has blessed you. This really, honestly, guys, I feel like I would be doing you a disfavor or a disservice if I just came on here every single week and talked to you about, just business stuff, things like, strategies, business tips. And those are all important and very important, and you need to put those into practice. But for me, this is the secret to my success. This is the foundation that everything else is on top of. I believe that I'm seeing his favor because I know it's there, that he loves me. I have a view of God, that he's a loving God. And if you have an opposite view and you believe that God is angry, well, you need to change that. And the way to change that is get into the Word, look in the Word and study the scriptures that talk about God's love, and rewire that place in your brain that is telling you different. Because if you believe he's angry and out to get you, well, you're not going to come to him. You're not going to expect any favor from somebody like that. And so I believe that he's loving, that he cares for me. And so that's why I feel like there's an open heaven over our family to receive his favor, his goodwill, his grace. And guys, this is all his grace. Everything that I've accomplished, it's because of him. He's given me opportunities I could have never dreamed of. He's opened doors that I've never could have opened on my own. Have I made mistakes? Absolutely. I've walked into some doors that I shouldn't have walked in. I've had business mistakes. I've made mistakes. I'm human. But for the most part, our business has been very successful. My relationships have been very successful. And it's not because I'm so great or I'm so wonderful. It's because if he's so great, he's so wonderful. And he wants to be that to you. So allow him to do that. Grab a copy of this book, Finding Your Grace Place. Go to streamsofincomeradio.com. This is episode, I think, 69. It'll be at the top there. There'll be a link to grab this. But I hope this has blessed you. If you're like, this has been the worst episode ever, I'm sorry about that. Hope this has blessed those of you that needed to hear this. But that's been my secret. And I felt like I would be not doing you a service, that I would be actually doing you a disservice if I didn't share what I felt has been the biggest reason why I have been successful in my life. Now, if this doesn't work for you, or you don't see it that way, that's fine. I love you. I will still teach you business success. I'll still teach you strategies that'll help you be successful. But this is what's worked for me and my family. And I will continue to talk about that. I'm not going to have whole episodes all about these types of topics all the time. I know some of you are here to get to the the practical stuff of business, and I want to serve that up to you as well. And so, but I just felt led to tell you about this one because this is what has truly been the secret to my success. So hope this has been a benefit to you. If you have any questions, you can email me, ryan@ryanrieger.com. Have a blessed Thanksgiving for those of you that are in the U.S. Love you guys. As always, if you have prayer requests, send them to me, ryan@ryanrieger.com. I do read all my email. I do respond to all of it, and I will pray for you. So have a blessed day, blessed week, blessed weekend. See y'all.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.